For me, I think people need to focus less sometimes on the safety of the ingredients and more about where their ingredients are coming from and how far they're traveling to get to your products and like the whole cycle around it. Because when I was developing my first product, which I'll talk about, I was researching all the different ingredients that I wanted to put in there, and it was almost impossible to get ingredients that were made or grown or processed in the United States. It was crazy for me. It's like we're so reliant on other countries to produce our raw materials. And here we are with supply chain issues and all the issues that we're facing because of COVID and obviously climate change. And it's kind of like, why aren't we bringing our ingredients closer to home? This is nuts.
Welcome to the Friends in Beauty podcast, a safe space for ambitious beauty industry creatives to have real talk, get real answers, and practical tools to grow their businesses. My name is Liana Robinson, and I'm a makeup artist, beauty educator, and the creator of Friends in Beauty. I created Friends in Beauty to support like-minded creatives, just like you, on their quest to connect, network, and build genuine relationships within the beauty community. Join me every week as me and my special guests reveal the keys to success and longevity in the beauty industry, and most importantly, have fun while doing it. You ready? Hey, what's up? It's your best friend in beauty, Liana Robinson. Welcome back to another episode of the Friends in Beauty podcast. I am so happy to have you here with me, and I hope you're listening to this episode in high spirits and in good health. If you are a friend in beauty, I welcome you to join the Friends in Beauty Facebook community. If you're looking for a community of like-minded, ambitious friends in beauty to virtually connect with, network, and share resources, then click the link down below in the show description to join our community, and I'll be there to welcome you with open arms. Also, follow Friends in Beauty on all social media platforms at Friends in Beauty. What I like to do is something called the Friends in Beauty Friday feature, where every Friday I spotlight a different friend in beauty and their accomplishments. So no matter how big or small you think it is, I want to shout you out. I want to send you some good vibes. So all you have to do is use the hashtag FIB Friday feature, tag Friends in Beauty on something that you have accomplished, and I'll share it with the community. Additionally, the Friends in Beauty podcast is available on several platforms. We're on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google, YouTube, you name it. And whatever platform you are listening from right now, I just want to say thank you so much for tuning into the Friends in Beauty podcast. I truly appreciate you so much. And I would love it even further if you took the time to leave a 5-star rating, a review, a comment, a like, a share, a subscribe, or something to let me know how you feel about the Friends in Beauty podcast. I would absolutely love it. And also, I have to tell you that you should join the Friends in Beauty mailing list tribe if you haven't already, because they are the first to know about all things Friends in Beauty, and I send out different business resources, tips, and advice throughout the week. So if that's something that you're interested in, the link for that will be in the description as well. And last but not least, the most important thing is to share the Friends in Beauty podcast with your other friends in beauty, your family, your friends, anybody that you think could benefit from the information that is being shared. Share away to help me grow the Friends in Beauty community. Now, on this episode of the Friends in Beauty podcast, I welcome the founder of Brooklyn Rooftop Botanicals, Liana Blomquist, to the Friends in Beauty guest chair. Brooklyn Rooftop Botanicals is New York City's first and only rooftop beauty farm that spans over 3 rooftops. They grow and process botanicals on Brooklyn rooftops to create extracts and beauty products. Liana is a certified horticulturist and founded Brooklyn Rooftop Botanicals in 2019, born out of her passion for gardening and beauty while reevaluating her consumption habits and the way they affect the planet. Liana's career spans over 10 years at Elizabeth Arden and Revlon as a global marketing and product development executive in their fragrance and skincare categories. Over the span of her time there, she launched over 30 fragrance and skincare products, winning global awards and nominations from key publications and foundations. Her sustainable beauty and gardening expertise has been seen in New York Post, Thrive Global, New York Live, New York Magazine, and Real Simple. This interview was such a treat for me. When I heard about what Liana does, I knew that I had to have her on the Friends of Beauty podcast. In this interview, Liana shares her inspiration for creating Brooklyn Rooftop Botanicals, the importance of sustainability and knowing where the ingredients in your products are coming from, how raw ingredients for our beauty products are being handled and sourced, how she uses her beauty farms to formulate and produce her own beauty products from seed to bottle, the future of Brooklyn Rooftop Botanicals, and so much more. Liana is such a wealth of information, and I learned so much about product ingredients that I never even considered before. She is on a mission to help change the way raw materials are sourced, to combat climate change, and to help people think more consciously when it comes to their beauty consumption habits. Let's go ahead and jump into this chat with Liana, and if you prefer to watch the interview, then tune in on YouTube. Enjoy. Welcome to the Friends of Beauty podcast, Liana.
Hi, thank you, Aquia, for having me here. I'm super excited to talk to you. I know we're going to have a really fun time.
I can't wait. I'm super excited to talk to you because I was just telling you how excited I am about all your plants back there, and I'm getting my green thumb, together. So this is a real treat for me because I have tons of questions to ask you. But before we jump into the interview, I like to start off with some icebreakers just to get us warmed up. And I always say, just so the Friends and Beauty community can get to know you outside of what you do professionally a little bit. All right. So the first one, just give us 3 random facts about you.
Random facts is I'm half French, half American. I know I have an American accent, so it throws people off, but I fluently speak French. I was born in Geneva, Switzerland. So that's a random fact. And again, people don't really understand that. And they're like, oh, wait, what, where, what's going on? And I guess I would say I'm a certified horticulturist. So I've been taking classes. I took classes, for the last 3 years almost, to become a certified horticulturist at the Brooklyn Botanic Gardens. So yeah.
That is amazing. I did see that. I'm like, how do you go about doing that? Because that sounds amazing. So is it a 3-year course, or is that just the amount of time you've been pacing yourself?
Yeah, it's just the amount of time I've been pacing myself. You have to take 8 different classes, and they're not offered all at the same time. So and obviously you have to pace yourself because if you're working full time, it's like you have to make sure you're taking a few at a time. So you have the time to do all of the homework necessary, all the projects necessary, and all of that. So yeah, and with COVID also, that was also an issue because some of the classes were in person, and then they had to switch quickly to online, and so it was a lot of kind of moving pieces. So yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so I have these things called pod decks, right? And one of them is a what the heck deck, and the other one is a would you rather. And they have crazy questions in here sometimes, and sometimes cool ones, Which one would you like?
What the heck?
She's going for it. Okay.
I'm going for it.
A random card. Okay, this is kind of cute. What nickname have you been called that you hate?
Liana Banana. Freaking hate it. It's like anybody with an Anna or Liana or Iliana, it's always the banana. And I'm like,
Liana Banana. That could be totally annoying. It's cute when you're younger, but as an adult, come on.
Yeah, but even as a kid, it was like, I'm not a baby, leave me alone. It was always like, oh.
I love that. Do you have any hidden talents?
I can sing.
Ooh, okay.
I'm not an amazing singer, but I have a very Disney-esque voice. So if you put me to karaoke, I can sing The Little Mermaid or A Whole New World. Yeah.
Dope. So. Okay. Does that only come out during karaoke, or do you sing?
Yeah, kind of. When I'm forced to do karaoke.
I just did karaoke for the first time, publicly, maybe a few months ago, and I was so nervous.
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking. I'm okay with it. I love singing karaoke, but I don't know. So I did want to become a singer once upon a time when I was younger, and the dream of that, and me just understanding that was never going to be a reality. So it's imagine if I was a singer, it's always a thought.
I love that. Oh my God. What do people always tell you that you're good at aside from growing plants? Obviously, look at that back there.
Oh, what am I good at doing? Right. I think I've put my heart and soul into gardening, and formulating products and things like that. I think it's the skincare. So understanding all of the different ingredients, understanding what ingredients are in your products, how do they actually come together to form the products that you use on a day-to-day basis. So I would say overall beauty. I'm not saying I'm an expert. I'm not an esthetician. I'm not a dermatologist, obviously. So, I don't know all of the concepts out out there, but I think I'm pretty versed in understanding a lot of the ingredients and how they work together and in your routine.
Okay. Okay. When's the last time that you did something for the first time?
Ooh, wait, this happened recently. What was I telling my husband? Hold on. What was it? It was fairly recently and it was really cool. Um, mm, mm, mm. Hold on. It was in Florida. It was the first time we did something because I visited my parents who live in Florida.
Okay.
And we were like, okay, like what can we do? I don't remember what it is. But similarly, it was in Florida. We actually went to a shooting range where we were clay shooting. And so that was like the first time last year that I did it actually. So it was pretty interesting just to like understand how it works. And Florida, they're all like into their guns. So I was like, let me just try clay shooting. So yeah, I think that's one of the last time I did one of the first thing. Yeah, first times. Yeah.
Okay, not bad, not bad. And the last one, if you weren't like the CEO of Brooklyn Rooftop Botanicals, what else could you see yourself doing?
Honestly, I probably would be working for another kind of beauty company trying to change things. So, something along the lines around beauty oriented or even indoor or indoor urban farming around the same lines, basically just another company that has the same vision as me and that is looking to change the world.
Okay, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing with us. That's amazing. I would love to just jump into it because you have such a fantastic bio. And I'm literally so excited to talk to you because I just started like dabbling in gardening last year. And I was like, I did really good. Like the first plant that I ever had that didn't die was a monstera. So that's why I got excited when I saw your monstera back there. And
Yeah.
it gave me such confidence and like, oh, I could probably grow like other things. And I did. I had like a cute little garden last year. So like I said, your bio is amazing, but how do you normally introduce yourself and tell people like what you do?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Liana, and I'm the CEO and founder of Brooklyn Rooftop Botanicals. And what is Brooklyn Rooftop Botanicals? I'm sure everyone's like, okay, we're into this. What's going on? What is this all about now? And it's basically the first and only rooftop beauty farm in New York City that currently spans over 3 different rooftops that amounts to around 2,000 square feet in total. And we grow and process over 50 different beauty botanicals to create extracts, hydrosols, oil infusions, to then put into products that we then sell. And really the main reason we're doing this, I'm doing this, and I have a few interns that are helping me along as well, is to bring ingredients closer to home. I don't think people quite understand, I think for the last like 3, 4, 5 years, people have been so focused on clean beauty and, what are the safety around the ingredients, which, all fair, there are some safety concerns that you have to think about. We can talk about that a little bit more later. But for me, I think people need to focus less sometimes on the safety of the ingredients and more about where their ingredients are coming from and how far they're traveling to get into your products and like the whole cycle around it. Because when I was developing my first product, which I'll talk about, I was researching all the different ingredients that I wanted to put in there. And it was almost impossible to get ingredients that were made or grown or processed in the United States. It was crazy for me. It's like, we're so reliant on other countries to produce our raw materials. And here we are with supply chain issues and all the issues that we're facing because of COVID and obviously climate change. And it's kind of like, why aren't we bringing our ingredients closer to home? This is nuts. And so that being said, I just launched my first rooftop grown product, which is a rose and chamomile hyaluronic acid gel moisturizer. And it's also made with squalene, vitamin E, and a lot of other great ingredients like glycerin as well, to kind of, it's very lightweight. So it's more for like oily mixed skin types, more for me. I kind of developed it for myself because like I was having issues with hormonal acne and melasma and things like that. And so, I really developed it for myself. So it is very much for dry skin, but it's very lightweight, great to use after you wash your face, and then to layer underneath the rest of your kind of skin targeting serums and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's basically it in a nutshell.
I absolutely love that. What are the problems that arise from getting products, the raw materials from overseas versus in the United States?
You just don't know where they're being grown. It's kind of crazy, actually, when you actually dig deep into all the different ingredients and you start asking the questions like, hey, is this organic? Is this Cosmos, compliant? How were some of the sunflowers, the flax seeds, all the different types of botanicals that there are, how are they actually grown? Where were they grown? And like a lot of the times, like you just couldn't get that information, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And then just some of the other problems is that you're like growing these things, these beauty botanicals halfway across the world. And, it's obviously, you're creating a very monodose type of growing environment. If you're growing in large crops, right, it's not diverse. You're not creating a diverse ecosystem. So that's kind of draining on the planet, and that in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And then another thing is that when you're harvesting and then you're processing it, you're not necessarily processing it in that location where it was grown. They're probably taking it and shipping it somewhere else. And then it's getting processed into XYZ to be like another raw material. And then you're shipping it again to another location and then again and again and again. So you're shipping it like multiple times, sometimes 5 times to actually get your real product.
Uh-huh.
So for me, it's like, that is like a huge problem.
Right. So with your garden, things go from like garden to like everything like in-house for your products?
From seed to bottle. So I have just 2 extracts that are made from the rooftop. It's the rose and chamomile extracts. So I'm starting with these, with extracts, and I definitely want to go further and create more and more ingredients in-house. But yeah, so basically I create the extracts in my laboratory environment here that is actually in front of me that you can't see, but and I basically create them here. I then send them for testing in New Jersey. They get tested to make sure that they're safe and they're compliant from like a heavy metal testing perspective, microbial testing perspective, and longevity preservative perspective. So they just, they get tested there, and then they get sent over to my other lab that called Flex Cosmetics, and they kind of put all the ingredients together in a laboratory safe environment, and there you go. Then the product's made, it comes back to me, it's shipped over here, and that's it. So it's like New York, New Jersey.
I love that. That's so cool. When did you first become aware of like this problem of like sustainability? Was it when you were in corporate?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So my corporate background, I worked at Elizabeth Arden and Revlon. And I loved my job, honestly, like great job. And I learned so much, but it also made me aware of what, how much we were producing in terms of products, how we were sourcing our ingredients. And I just felt like what we were doing, and that's not just Revlon, it's the whole beauty industry, like even small indie brands, like they just don't, not all of them, but a lot of them still don't quite do it right. And it's like, we're still producing so much packaging. Like, I don't think that people understand that only 9% of plastic that has ever been created on this planet has ever been recycled. So, if you're thinking about it that way, like every day, even if we're creating, PET plastic that is, said a little bit lighter and easier to ship, you're still creating plastic and you're still not going to recycle it. So it's, it's all of that. And then the ingredients, again, it's like, we all of the large companies, yes, they have, some funding to help out some farmers and farms, but not all of them are doing it the right way or really following through, like I just said, to really understand, because not even like the ingredient suppliers know where those ingredients are coming from half the time. They're buying things in bulk. So it's like the transparency is very difficult. So that's kind of like what made me aware and why I wanted to start Brooklyn Rooftop Botanicals.
Awesome. When did you start gardening?
So I started gardening, I would say back in like 2015, just because like I had grown up with my mother who loved gardening, and I grew up in the south of France. in a town called Grasse, which is the perfume capital of the world, in a World UNESCO Heritage Site. So it's very, very much into fragrances and beauty down there.
Nice.
And so, gardening with her, seeing her garden down there and being like exposed to all the plants down there, it was like amazing. And then also when we moved to New Jersey, she also was gardening there. And so I was always exposed to like nature. And then finally, when I moved to cities, I didn't have any more outdoor space. So I was like craving it. So when I finally had like a little mini windowsill, I like stuck a little planter out. So like back in 2015, had strawberries, a few herbs. And then like, that's the first time that I started gardening.
I love that.
So when I finally had access to more outdoor space, I was like, all right, I'm going crazy.
I love that. Tell me about your first rooftop garden. Like, when did you say, like, what did that idea look like when it first popped into your head, and like, how did you go about like executing it? Because I know you've expanded since then, but I want to know about the first one. Like, how did that happen?
Yeah. Well, the first one I think was very much about me just like trying everything. Like, I think I was also very much into the veggie movement. I think, when people first start growing, they're very much into, I want to grow my own food. I want to grow my own herbs, and I don't, so I did a lot of the veggies. I also had a lot of beauty botanicals as well. But, I was kind of like more first into the veggies because I was like exactly with that thought. It was like, we need to be like more self-reliant on our food supply chain and
And if there's an apocalypse, we got to eat.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, on a tiny rooftop, on a rooftop in general, it's just really difficult to grow veggies. Some years can be extremely terrible than others. Like 2 years ago, I did grow amazing tomatoes and they were so delicious. But then last year there was like a freak cold spell in the beginning of June, late May. So they all like spazzed out. And they were in shock, so they didn't grow very well. And so, I kind of came to the conclusion that, okay, and also just kind of looking at some of the other urban farms, they're all focusing on veggies, they're all focusing on herbs. So I was like, how do I differentiate myself? And then, it kind of also came to me that, hey, I'm like a beauty person. Like, why am I growing veggies? So I kind of quickly shifted. I still do grow like some veggies, but like the micro kind. I have like a tiny little orange hat tomato that I'm growing over there, and like mini cucumbers and like mini bell peppers. Like, I like the mini things that I can kind of stick on my table, and then I'm like, okay, see, here are my veggies, but they're not going to sustain me like for the long term, right?
Yeah.
And when it came down to it, it kind of made more sense to grow beauty botanicals because you get more from the beauty botanical in the square footage versus growing vegetables, actually. So
got you. So what exactly is a beauty botanical?
So a beauty botanical is any plant that you can process and use and create extracts, oil infusions, hydrosols, and then or grind up. There's like various different ways that you can process a beauty botanical to use the beneficial constituents inside of it, the nutrients inside of it. So there are tons of plants out there that have various types of oils and vitamins and nutrients that all serve different purposes, and all beauty botanicals have different versions. Most beauty botanicals are high in antioxidants, so that's just a number one. Like, I think when people think of using beauty botanicals in their skincare, it's like generally they're high in antioxidants, so you're always going to have some kind of beneficial antioxidant component to it. But then if you like kind of dissect each and one of them, like marshmallow root, for instance, if you just grind it up into a powder, you mix it with some distilled water and some flax seeds, you can create a hair gel out of it. So like that's just one way to process one beauty botanical. But then you have something called beerberry, which has arbutin inside of it, which when you kind of like process it really intricately in different ways, you can get something called arbutin, which is like another type of retinol alternative. So great for pigmentation. Then we have some of just like the basic beauty botanicals like calendula, cornflower, chamomile. And some of those are just more for like skin soothing, like anti-acne, antibacterial, moisture barrier strengthening. So a lot of them do those types of things as well. So it just depends on what you're growing and doing your research and understanding what they're good at.
Yeah, that is so cool. So between like the 3 rooftops that you have now, how many plants are being grown like at any given time, or does it vary by the season? Like certain plants grow in certain seasons?
Yeah, definitely. So right now I'm seed starting. So I can kind of show you quickly, like here are my little mini chamomiles. So yeah, I mean, mostly the higher yielding crops, botanicals that I grow are mostly in the spring, like from March all the way until September, October. In the winter, I tend to grow more of the indoor types of plants. So I don't know if you can see back there, but I have a calamandan tree.
Yes.
And it grows little mini calamandan, and like I will then, once they're ready, and they're starting to grow more now, but once they're ready, I'll dehydrate them. I'll press them, use the juice for like key lime pie or calamandan pie. But then I'll dehydrate the peels, and I'll grind them up, and I'll use it in like body scrubs and things like that.
So cool.
It tastes like a delicious key lime pie scrub.
Mhm.
I'm also growing a vanilla orchid. It's down there. I can pick it up for you, but it's a heavy pot. So, but it's a vanilla orchid is basically looks like an orchid. And we all know vanilla is a very finite resource. So for me, it's like more in the winter, I'm trying to like grow like the kind of crazy, like more tropical type plants that you can't necessarily grow out on a rooftop. Like I have something also called go-to cola, which when processed in a certain way becomes kind of like a Centella asiatica, which we all know is kind of like an alternative to Sika.
Okay.
So yeah, lots of different things that I'm growing all seasons, but the bulk of my things are mostly grown during like March to September, October.
Nice, nice. How many plants at a time?
How many plants at a time? I cannot tell you. A lot, like over 50 is what I kind of came to at one point when I was counting, because I have like 4 or 5 different types of mints. I have like 3 different types of lavenders and like 5 different roses. So it's like it kind of, and same thing with calendula. I grow a lot of calendula. There are like 3 different versions that I grow. Chamomile is just one, but cornflower as well. There's like 3 different versions that I grow. So in total, it's like different varieties, different colors, different. So over 50 though, that's for sure. Probably more than that, honestly.
Nice, nice. Are there other brands that are using the ingredients from your farm for their beauty products, or are they using it other ways?
Not yet, no. I'm trying to prove my concept first between the rooftops so that I can then go much bigger. I'd like to get a much larger rooftop and grow way more beauty botanicals, and then potentially, yes, offer out my extracts to other brands. But I kind of feel like I want to keep it to internally. That's what makes me different and special. So why would I share? No, I'm just joking. I don't know. We'll see when we get there. Who knows?
Yeah, super cool. What's the difference? Because I heard you mention like clean beauty earlier, and that's like a big like thing. I don't know if it's like a marketing tactic or whatever, but what's the difference between like organic, natural, clean? Like we hear those words being thrown around when it comes to skincare.
Yeah, so in my opinion, yes, clean beauty is kind of fear-mongering marketing language, kind of used to scare people about safety and et cetera. And it doesn't necessarily mean anything, and there's tons of different reasons behind it. Mainly, saying that like natural ingredients are safer, when in essence that's not necessarily true, because you have tons of natural ingredients that are also poison. And there's tons of ingredients. Again, it's like saying that when a lot of research is done and brought out to the public, oftentimes it's like misinterpreted, or it's kind of taken out of context. And so people like freak out when they see a report on something saying, oh, this ingredient was, found in this product, at a certain level. But I think what people fail to realize is that percentages are extremely, extremely important when you're talking about ingredients. And that at a certain level, some ingredients are absolutely fine and absolutely safe. And like, if some ingredients compound, such as lead. If you have lead, it compounds into your system. So that's extremely dangerous, and it's very, horrible. If you're also pregnant, it can lead to serious complications. But then you have other ingredients that don't compound, they just go through your system. So it's not a huge issue. So I think when it comes to safety and like understanding that, people aren't necessarily educated in that sense. Another thing is that, natural and clean is better for the environment, and it isn't necessarily, actually organic farms take up a lot more resources because, they need to grow in larger types of fields, in order to avoid pesticides and things like that. And so they're more resource intensive when it comes down to it. So there's like all these nuances, and I can talk more about it, but I think for me, like when it comes to clean beauty, again, like that's not necessarily what people I think should be thinking about. They really should be thinking more about like, where are their ingredients coming, how far they're traveling, if they're really worried about the environment. Right. And trying to like focus on, producers that grow and process more locally and are pushing their supply chains. And I do know that there are a lot of ingredient suppliers that are, seeing how their supply chain is running and trying to bring things closer. But a lot of work needs to be done. And then when it comes to like natural and organic, those are two separate terms. I think when it comes to natural, natural ingredients, they definitely come from the earth. But they still might be grown with synthetic fertilizers, and they might still be, then when it comes to actual product and ingredient, they might still use preservatives. So that it's just a term of like something just coming from the earth. While when you're using an organic product, it's grown organically, but then they're not using pesticides, obviously, in their ingredients, and then they're not using synthetic preservative systems. So it's like more of that. So I think those are really like key differentiators.
Gotcha. I love that. Have you ever gone through like the aisles and looked at the beauty products and looked at their ingredients and like, I cannot believe this is on the shelf, based off of like your product knowledge or your knowledge of ingredients?
Yeah, for me, knowing all the ingredients, like I'm definitely not like a clean beauty person. I'm not all natural either. There are obviously some ingredients that I do understand that are not great, but I think it's a good balance between the two, right? I'm like very pro preservatives actually, but preservatives that have been significantly tested. Some of the natural preservatives, for instance, haven't been significantly tested enough, so it's kind of like for me, I'll look at some of the older brands and the ones that haven't necessarily gone through regulatory reworks or things like that. Regulatory reworks is when you're like looking at an ingredient list and kind of taking out the ingredients that are no longer compliant or have like, some bad press around it. So for me, looking at some of the older brands that maybe haven't done that or are still using certain ingredients, I'm kind of like, okay, like get with the program. People don't want this, but I tend to know that a lot of the reasons the ingredients are the way that they are right now are because of kind of consumer demand. It's not necessarily that there's testing, again, going back to the whole like, there's lots of research, but people take things out of context and they're not looking at the analysis in the right way or understanding the ingredient percentages or things like that. So when it's taken out of context, and it's just people doing their own research sometimes, in my opinion, sorry, where was I going with that? Hold on 2 seconds. Blah, blah, blah. So in my opinion, I think it's mostly due to consumer demand that, ingredients are taken out, or just because there was like one little piece of bad press, companies would rather just like change their formulas quickly, remove the ingredients that people don't like anymore, rather than fight and, have to, do extra testing or just crazy amounts of research to like, dispel. And then in any case, even if they did that research, you'd have consumers coming saying, oh, but it was funded by you, so why would we believe, it's just a vicious cycle. So they're like, whatever, we'll just take these ingredients out. So
that is so funny. I recently saw something, I think I saw it on Instagram, but it was an article that was basically saying that a lot of the fragrances that are on the market are like altering or just messing up women's hormones, basically throwing off their cycles and stuff like that. Have you heard anything about that?
I hear a lot of things like that. I also hear like vaccines are terrible. I don't know. There's lots of different opinions and different points of view. In my opinion, I think there a lot of the ingredients that are out there have been seriously tested. Like otherwise, they wouldn't be out there. It takes a lot of time and research and money to really put ingredients out on the market. I'd be more afraid if somebody is just like creating products in their kitchen and then selling it out. That'd be more worried about that, because if people aren't using the right amounts of ingredients, if they're not using the right amounts of preservatives, if they're not using special like controlled laboratory environments, like it's actually more dangerous to the end consumer that way. I'd be more worried about that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that you have tons of products, right, at your place. I love your Instagram. I was like scrolling earlier, like this is so much fun. I love the how-to videos that you do, or how to like make different products. Do people actually like try it at home?
Yeah, some people, I've been seeing a lot more people sending me little direct messages being like, oh my God, I tried your like body cream. And I'm like, yay.
That is so
because like that's the point. Like I want people to, it's not only bringing ingredients closer to home via what I'm doing, it's also getting people to bring their ingredients closer to home and doing their own gardening and growing their beauty botanicals and processing and learning how to, formulate for themselves. Not necessarily to like sell the products to their friends and families or whatever. I think there's a lot more that has to go into that, but it's like, if people are doing it for themselves and like they're learning and they're knowing, like, I think it's, it's great.
I love that. I know that this all sounds great, but do you have any challenges that arise in the type of business that you're doing? What kind of challenges come up?
Yeah, so I think what's difficult is I'm very resource intensive and very much like I have physical spaces. So for me, it's kind of struggling to kind of do my proof of concept, because a lot needs to go into it. I need a lot of resources, time, and rooftops. So it's just been difficult in that sense, trying to get everything going and like figuring out what like is extremely important to help get myself out there, and my products out there to kind of build that momentum. I think it's the number one struggle for every like new entrepreneur or business. But I think a lot of other companies, a lot of beauty brands aren't doing what I'm doing. They're just buying things off the shelf, turnkey, and they're building their brand using just like an ingredient supplier or, a production facility that does tons and millions of other different types of products, right? Half the time people don't also realize that. A lot of you like your La Mers are being produced in the same things as like your Neutrogenas, it's the same kind of factories. So, for me, it's like, because I'm trying to do everything like from the beginning to the end, it's extremely intensive, time consuming. And I think it's, trying to grow my business and then try to find the funding that's going to be necessary. That's like my next step, once I get to the point where I feel like I'm growing, that, I'm going to try to find investing, and it's going to be a hard process to kind of convince people in the long term that this is viable. So it's, it's all of that learning.
Yeah, you got it. I feel like this is the time for it. I feel like people are more conscious about, what they're consuming and putting on their bodies, in their bodies and everything. So this is like the perfect time. I think you're going to be great. Like you're definitely find people that's going to support, your movement for sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome. There was something else that I wanted to ask you that just slipped. Oh, the springtime is coming up. Like, do you have anything, what's going on for the spring? Like, are you doing any different products, different plants? Like, what's going on?
So I think last year I grew a lot of different plants. And, so I'm losing a rooftop because the owner is selling. Her name's Baba. She's an influencer that I've been working with over the last like 3 years on her rooftop. I first started like designing her rooftop. And then because she wanted to learn how to garden, she wanted to learn how to like, do her own veggies and everything and herbs. But then, she had her own career that she was going after. She had a baby too. So like time just caught up with her, unfortunately. But so I was like, hey, can I just like, work on your rooftop and like, grow beauty botanicals for Brooklyn Rooftop? And she was like, yeah, totally, sure. Like amazing. But she's now, she's selling her apartment. So I'm one rooftop down, but at the same time, I have my another rooftop that's really close to me here. So I have my rooftop here and then one that's like literally 2 streets down, and they still have a little extra space. So I am going to put more planters on that one. So it's going to equal out in the end, basically going to be the same thing. And so, with all of that, all the learnings of, running around with all the different rooftops, the different plant needs, I'm kind of like consolidating to like between 6 and 8 different types of botanicals in bulk. So really growing those ones more specifically so that I can create the next round of products, which I am currently actively developing. It's going to be exciting. I think the next one's definitely going to be a cleanser. And I'm going more into like waterless product territory. And yeah, so definitely interesting things coming. But I do obviously still love to learn. I want to grow as many botanicals as possible. So I'm still going to have like other things growing as well on the edges, and, just to kind of keep my my knowledge going of like what can grow on a rooftop and what grows best, and, et cetera, et cetera.
I love that. Do you teach any classes currently?
Not yet. That is something that I think the vision, my long-term vision, is to definitely have a very large rooftop where people can come, take classes, to learn how to grow anything, I think, but also learn how to formulate, just come and visit in general, just to see what it looks like and learn about some of the different beauty botanicals. I want it to be an event space too, where people come and, just do different types of events that they want to do, weddings, baby showers, anniversaries, anything. I also envision potentially a spa, who knows, like that could be cool. So I think the opportunities are endless. And I also think with that type of concept, going to different cities could be an option where, then you kind of mix around the different botanicals that you can grow, because you have different climates and different temperatures. So you can grow things in certain areas and kind of experiment in that way. So I think I'd love to do that further. But right now, my content is my educational content, just because my rooftops are private residences. So people can, see what I'm doing and learn about what I'm doing via my Instagram or my TikToks or my blog, which I do tons and tons of content, like really in-depth content on how to do all these multiple types of things. But I'm always like continuously like seeing what people are interested in and continuously writing. So if anybody has any questions, of course, let me know and I'll like write something up for you guys. But yeah, in the future, I'm hoping this year is going to go according to plan. And then, next year, get the funding necessary to go bigger and then really open it up as a community space to more people.
Yeah, I love that. I love the fact that it's on a rooftop, because I'm like, New York has no space. I'm in DC. So I'm like, I always see gardens, on the ground, but I'm like, New York, there's no space in New York. So you have to put it on the rooftop. I would love to come visit you.
Yes, of course. You can come whenever you want, whenever you're in New York. You can have a nice, happy little drink on the roof if you want.
I just want to see the garden and everything. Do like a little tour.
And like, I'm going to be taking lots of different, videos this year, so everybody can feel like they're in the garden. But yes, whenever you're here, absolutely come.
Okay, I'm gonna hold you to it, because I'm gonna come. I want to see all.
Absolutely, come whenever you want. I mean, it's dead right now, don't come now. I mean, come in like June, July.
When it's warm, yes, for sure. Oh my God. So Liana, at the end of the day, like, what are you working on your legacy to be with Brooklyn Rooftop Botanicals? What do you want them to say about you when it's all said and done?
Beauty exec changes the world of beauty, I guess. I don't know, something like that. Like ex beauty execs changes the world of beauty, and brings ingredients closer to home to help combat climate change. Like I really want that to be the word that is said about me, that I really like completely changed everything that I used to be to really try and make the world a better place, like really try.
Yeah, with all your power, everything that's within your control, you do the
Yes,
best that you can.
exactly.
Yeah, this has been amazing. I learned so much just now. I know that when I listen back to this, I'll be able to soak it all in, but you shared so much information, and I really appreciate you so much.
Thank you. Yes, of course. And if you have any other questions, let me know. Write me an email and I'll answer anything else, or I'll try to anyway.
Absolutely. Before I let you go, I have to ask you the Friends and Beauty rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So
Uh-oh.
whatever,
I'm scared. Now I'm scared.
so whatever comes to your mind first, just spit it out. You'll be fine. You'll be perfect.
Oh God, no, you do not want me to just spit things out. It's not good. No.
So the first one, what are the top 3 keys to your success so far?
Persistence,
Mhm.
passion, and I think drive is like the same thing as persistence, isn't it? I would say organization. Like, I think, yeah, if I didn't have persistence, drive, and organization and passion, that's 4, whatever, I wouldn't be where I am today. Like you have to love what you're doing and really care for it and really believe in it to keep going. I've cried a million times, and if you ask any other entrepreneur like how they felt when launching their own business, like it's always like overwhelming. You're always crying.
Yeah.
You're always wondering what the hell you're doing. Like you're always like, what the F am I doing on a day-to-day basis? Like, and you end up getting there. Like, I can't even believe how far I've come already. So it's crazy.
I love that. How do you measure your success?
Well, by obviously seeing everything that I'm growing on a year-to-year basis, like seeing how the rooftops have evolved. So just like visually and, from an output perspective, seeing like what I'm able to actually produce. So seeing that I did launch my first product, that I actually accomplished that, that is huge for me. And obviously sales are one thing, like seeing sales, like people interested in my concept, leaving reviews on my website, telling me their thoughts, like is so great. Like seeing even like, some people, I've had a few people like, mention that the moisturizer is very lightweight for their dry skin. And I love that feedback. It's like, great. Well, now I'm going to create like a much heavier one for the dry skin. Because it's true. Like this one was kind of made for more oily skin type. So yeah, just the feedback, and the growth.
Absolutely. What's the best advice you've ever received?
Starting your own business is like a marriage. Yeah, you really have to be into it. Like once you're in, it's like a marriage. It's like you can't just let go. You have to keep going. And you will fail in multiple instances, and you just have to learn from your failures and keep going, and communicate and see what needs to be done. Period.
Absolutely. What advice would you give to another, I guess, beauty brand founder who has been struggling? They just aren't seeing the results that they want to see. They've been at it for some years, and it's just like, what am I doing? Like, I should just give up. Like, what advice would you give to them?
I think I would tell them to like take a step back, really look at why they're doing what they're doing, and kind of looking at their portfolio of products, and to, really think about how they can be a change driver. I think it's like kind of like looking at what is trending, but kind of looking a step further, right? And like, and seeing like what type of problems that they can solve with what they're trying to do. But I think the key to being successful is also being very real and very authentic. You can't bullshit your way through this. Not anymore. I'm sorry. It's like a lot of brands still bullshit, and and then they do well for a little bit and then they fail. So you have to really be authentic, really tell your story the way that you feel makes it authentic. And yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay. That's excellent advice. What's a resource that has helped you in your business that you can share with the friends and beauty community? Whether it's like a techie resource or a book or your class, I'm not sure.
I use QuickBooks Intuit, so self-employed. That really helps. It really does. I am not a finance person. I struggle every month when I have to like pull together all my expenses, but like, honestly, that Intuit QuickBooks really helps to keep me on track.
Okay.
Otherwise, yeah, like when you're owning your own business and you're like, I need this left and right, like I need this, and you start like buying, and then you're like, oh crap, wait, where am I? Like, where's my budget? Like, how am I doing? Like it just really helps for you to like quickly see like what's going on, so you can like reallocate. I think knowing your finances is extremely important. Like, you will not get far, and if you're looking for investors in the future, like they will not look at you, and they will like completely disregard like your whole business plan if your financials are not up to date and clear cut.
Got you. This has been amazing. So the last one is, I just want you to fill in the blank and say, my name is blank, and the key to longevity and success is whatever you think it is.
Ooh. You're killing me here. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I might repeat what I said before, but so my name is Liana, and my key to longevity and success is to stay driven and passionate. I think those are two very key things when you are launching a business. And without real drive and real passion and knowing that you need to put in the hours, you won't get there. So yeah.
Okay. I love it. I can dig it. Before you go, share all of your social media information, your website, or wherever you would like people to find you and connect with you.
Yes. So my website is brooklynrooftopbotanicals.com. And I have an Instagram, which is Brooklyn Rooftop Botanicals as well. I think my Facebook is, Brooklyn Rooftop Botanicals. I'm also on LinkedIn with Brooklyn Rooftop Botanicals, and Pinterest with Brooklyn Rooftop Botanicals. The only thing that's different is TikTok. I'm there on BR Botanicals. Just because for some reason they were like, no, your name is too long, we are not using that. I was like, what the? So it's BR Botanicals, but at the same time, my product is called BR Botanicals, so shortened for Brooklyn Rooftop Botanicals. So you'll see that link there too.
Okay, awesome, because we love the consistency, so it's never going to be a way that people cannot find you. Like,
yes.
Straightforward. Thank you so much for doing this.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This is extremely fun. Hope we can visit each other soon. I hope you can come up here and I'll show you the rooftops.
I'm definitely coming.
Amazing.
Thanks for listening to the Friends in Beauty podcast. Don't forget, sharing is caring. Share this episode with at least one friend in beauty, and subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts so that other friends in beauty can find this show. Plus, we'd love to hear your feedback. Connect with us on all social media platforms at Friends in Beauty, #Friends in Beauty to join the conversation, and join our Friends in Beauty Facebook community to stay connected. Talk to you soon.